All right, so today I wanted to talk a little bit more about dividends and dividend investing. Again, very common theme, especially amongst the YouTube community, younger people. And I'm a fan of dividend investing. I do talk negatively about it a lot, but I am a fan. And to be frank, the majority of the stocks I own pay dividends. So it is something that I very much prefer. Like I very much do prefer stocks that pay dividends. But I see too many people that get caught up in dividend traps, right? Buying these stocks that have super high dividends and getting caught thinking that the dividend is everything, right? And this is an example of it, right? TNT.UN, True North Commercial Real Estate, or commercial REITs. So this is a REIT. And this is a company that is primarily office buildings, right? Obviously, it's out of Canada, right? And I used to own this REIT, right? I used to own it. I bought it in it was 20, I think it was 21. My cost basis was about 710, 720 roughly. And I sold it for about, I think it was like 680, 690, right? So I sold it for a loss, right? And a lot of people probably say, well, why did you do that? But that's the whole point of the video here. The reason I sold it is number one, it was in a industry that did not have a lot of tailwinds, right? This is an industry that has a lot of headwinds, right? In that office real estate is not the place to be, right? And this is not even a lot of it doesn't even have to do with the whole virus situation, right? A lot of it is if you can work from home or you can work remotely, why would you not, right? Why would you not do it, right? And not to mention, this was an area that was already pretty shaky, in my opinion, and in a lot of other people's opinion. So the reason I sold it is I wasn't bullish on the industry, right? And here's the thing, like the fundamental thing when it comes to investing and when it comes to buying stocks is the business. How good is the business? That is the fundamental thing. All the other stuff is just noise, right? All the other stuff is noise that you should be ignoring. At the end of the day, what matters is how good is the business, right? And this was not a good business, right? I mean, I'll give you an example, right? This is one of the things that people just don't seem to understand is that they see this high, shiny dividend. Even before this, it was like, 7, 8%, right? This high dividend. And people say, oh yeah, you got to buy it. You're going to get 7, 8% a year. But we don't realize is that if it's in a bad industry and the stock goes down, you're not actually better off, right? Let's look at the stock over the last year. I mean, if you go back to March of 22 and you go up to even prior to the last week, this stock was down about 20%, right? So clearly worse than the market. And it was down, I mean, if we look at a week, the stock was down about 37, 38%, right? So this stock has gotten absolutely killed over the last year. And the reason for that is it's in a bad industry, right? It's in a bad industry, right? Office real estate is not a place you want to be, right? And let's look at some other red flags here. Another big red flag that I noticed is they are perpetually issuing shares, right? They're perpetually issuing shares, right? This is not how you want to, this is not what you want to see, right? Because if they're issuing shares, well, why are they doing that? Why not lower the dividend a little bit, right? Because a company that's issuing shares, that is diluting you, the shareholder, right? Why are they doing that? Right? They're also a company that's consistently taking on debt. Why are they taking on? Now again, real estate, I guess technically you have to take on new debt in a way, but why? Right? The constantly issuing new shares is something that very much concerns me, right? The cash flow is going up nicely, right? The cash flow is going up nicely, but is the business a good business, right? Is the business a good business? That's what you need to be concerned about. And I don't think that this company is terrible, but it's just not good, right? The financial health is not good. I don't think that there's a lot of growth when it's going to come to this industry. They are fairly profitable. That's the one thing you can give to them, but you look at the returns. Look at the returns. This is another massive red flag. I mean, since 2012, this company is down. And even prior to the last year, it was basically flat, right? And people say, what about with the dividend, right? Let's compare it to the SPY, right? Because in my opinion, if a company's not going to beat the S&P, what's the point of even investing in it, right? So if you go back, right? If you go back, let's compare to the S&P. Let's check 1 year, right? 1 year, it's way, the S&P is down 10%. This company is down 50%, right? 3 years, right? The S&P is up 75. This company is only up 47, right? And this is including dividends, right? 5 years, it's down, right? And if we go to the max, again, this company's down. Even prior to the big crash recently, it was down 23%, right? The S&P is up 188. So these are some of the red flags that you really got to watch out for when it comes to dividend investing. Chasing dividends is not what you want to do, right? You do not. And then again, if you can get a high dividend, great. But you need to make sure that the underlying business is sound, right? They're not issuing new shares. They're not taking on excess debt. The valuation is good. The dividend is safe, right? Those are the most important things because I mean there's a lot of companies out there that has a high dividend but it's not safe, right? This dividend, honestly, it does appear to be it appears to be safe, right? It appears to be safe. I'm not saying that it is, but it appears to be safe. But the business is not, right? The business really is not, right? So that's something that you really need to watch out for, right? You really, really need to watch out for that because it will kill you if you buy companies like this over the long run, right? Do not buy companies like this because if you're looking for high dividends, in my opinion, the best way of doing it is just to buy companies that have 2, 3, maybe 4% dividends that are growing it at 10, 15, 20% per year. And after a certain amount of time, you're going to have a double-digit yield on cost. You don't need to buy these kinds of companies, right? And not only that, you can get growth that compares to the S&P and you get that nice cushy dividend, right? That's the way of doing it, not chasing this garbage, right? I mean, let's just show an example here. Let's look at SCHD, right? This is the dividend equity ETF, right? And if we look at the dividends tab here, right? So they're currently paying a 3.6% dividend, which is nothing special. That's a solid dividend. But look at they're growing it at 13.5% per year, right? So if you'd have bought this company 10 years ago, you would have almost a 9%, 8.3% yield on cost. So you have a crazy high dividend and you have a company that's going to grow at 7, 8% a year, right? That is what you want, right? Not a company that's paying a 7, 8, 9, 10% dividend that could go down 50% in the next year, right? That's not what you want, right? Barring the biggest collapse in history, the SCHD is not going down 50%, right? So that's an important lesson that people need to understand. Now again, I'm not necessarily taking a victory lap that, oh yeah, I sold this company before it collapsed, because I did get hit pretty hard on some of these bank stocks. None of them I've sold because I think they're all still okay, but I've gotten hit. I mean, QYLD. I still own a little bit of QYLD, right? That's an example, right? But you really need to take stuff like this into consideration, right? And I think that making the mistakes early is not a bad thing, right? Making your mistakes early is not a bad thing. Like that's why I'm not necessarily a big fan of people doing the most passive approach in history, right? Get in there, make your mistakes, and learn from them, because over the long run, that'll make you a better investor. So anyway, I just wanted to make a video about this because I think it's really important and I don't think it's talked about enough. So anyway, that's what I wanted to bring up today. If you liked the video, hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate all your support and stay tuned for more.